are benefiting from us and the entire hospitality industry. So arts, therefore, makes a contribution to the economy. But we don't know what the business sector is contributing towards arts. So our proposal, therefore, is that the city must establish an arts fund. So that when you book a room for 2,000 rands, a levy will then increase to 2,200 rands, so that the 200 rands will be set aside in the arts fund to be managed jointly by the artist, the city, and business sector. And that funding will then be used to support events like this and artists like yourselves. And then secondly, what we are proposing is that for each building going up in the city, for any capital project, whether it's private or public, they should be forced, if a building is 10 million rand, that they should set aside at least 1% of that and procure the local arts, craft work, and these visual arts that we see here for their offices. And we believe that if we were to do that, we'll then create enough space for people like yourselves to earn a living from this craft, because we believe it's like any other business. But then also, it will give you more bargaining power, so that you are not forced, like Paul CBC, to sell your works for next to nothing. With those words, we want to welcome you here in the 4th installment of Articulate Africa, and we urge you not to participate only on this important day, but as from tomorrow. And we are going to be working so close with the business sector, the political structures and government, to ensure that this sector does, at the end of the day, gets the recognition that it deserves. We thank you for listening to us this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ngobo, for such wonderful words. I'm very happy that Mr. Ngobo has articulated all these positive ideas. And I'd like everyone who is here to really support this sector, because it is suffering. There's no support, especially from the black community. I would like now to introduce our curator of exhibitions, curator of collections, Jenny Stratton. I don't know where she is. Okay, she's over there. Jenny is our curator of collections. She has a long experience as a curator. She has been here for decades, I don't know how many decades. But what is more important this afternoon is that she is the one who curated this exhibition called Izaqeqe, the Richness of Our Culture. She will do a lot of things as soon as she comes to the podium. She will define the concept of this exhibition. She will also introduce some artists who are participating in this exhibition. Some of the work is from our collection, but she managed to speak with a few artists so that they could lend us their works in order to make this exhibition as wonderful as it is now. But I'd like, because I speak isiZulu, that is my home language, and I'm proud of that, but for the benefit of those who don't know my language, the title of the exhibition is Izaqeqe. And there are these urbanized Africans who also don't know the meaning of this word Izaqeqe. I can put my head on the block. There are many, many fellow Africans standing here right now who don't know the meaning. Izaqeqe comes from, but Jenny will define it. I was surprised to know that she knows, but let me not take the glory. I want her to define it. If she didn't do it properly, I will assist. I will define it further afterwards. Jenny, please come and define the concept of this exhibition and introduce artists. And I would like artists to speak not for more than 1 minute because we are really, time is really against us. So if they can just speak for 1 minute each. I don't know how many are here, but I know Shengwe Dube is here. I haven't seen Sakile Mhlongo, for example. But yeah, Jenny, over to you.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's a great pleasure to be standing with you all in this special place that somewhat resembles the inside of a traditional Zulu dwelling. This exhibition, titled Iza Qeqe, The Richness of Our Culture, encapsulates the richness of the design vocabulary woven into the physical objects associated with Zulu material culture. Museums, collections, and the way work is collected define the perspective of that museum's policy of collection. I make mention of this because the Durbin Art Gallery has managed to amass a vast collection of Zulu material cultural objects in spite of the national policy of the day, which was pretty Eurocentric. The first purchases were made in 1983, forming the beginning of important holdings for the city and the province. This was a time where art galleries were collecting Western works. Thus, the introduction of Zulu objects was extremely daring and going against the grain of collection policy. The director at the time used a budget which was described as director's purchases. These purchases were never discussed at acquisitions meetings and entered the collection sideways. The Durbin Art Gallery is not a social history museum, it's an art museum. Thus, the focus of this exhibition is on artistic merit and not artifact. The difference is important because the social history approach would be guided by considerations such as provenance to influence how the objects are displayed, whereas this exhibition has been built around purely artistic principles. It has been conceptualized to favor the strong presence of design, fashion, and identity. It has been intentionally mounted and placed to engage current debates, one being the art-craft debate which continues to rage. In this debate, some arts practitioners intimate that art relies on artistic merit and that craft is based on learned skills and technique. Here at the Durbin Art Gallery, all our holdings are firmly placed in the genre of art. That said, the execution of pieces on this exhibition show expert rendering. The strong graphic nature stimulates and excites, inviting the viewer to explore the layers of shape, color, and design. The active, defining motifs of chevron, zigzag, and banding bring energy and movement. It's a celebration for the eyes. Culture is an exciting dynamic. It evolves, it assimilates, it regenerates. Each generation defines its place in the world, and to this end, contemporary artists and designers at the cutting edge of local art production have been invited to exhibit alongside the gallery works. I'm going to ask them all to say a few words about themselves and their artistic practice. Let's start. First of all, can we have all the artists coming further towards the stage? Shlengi, Reggie, Menenhle. Tembi, are you here? I don't know that Tembu has managed to come. Okay. Let's start with the doyen of Zulu Beadwork, Shlengi. Shlengi Dube, whose wire baskets are a prime example of interweaving the contemporary and the traditional. Shlengi, please come up and say a few words.
My name is Ushenge Dube from the Valley of 1,000 Hills. I'm an artist specializing on wire work and beadwork. I talk with beads, so I like my work is more emphasizing our culture. So I made some Zulu earplugs where we communicate with the artwork. So I like to talk with my craft. Thank you.
Sorry, but before Shlengi leaves, I just want to tell you there's a beautiful catalogue just near Ndu that Shlengi and Anthea Martin, who's in this space somewhere, curated in 2016 called The Secrets of Beads. And there is so much rich information in there. Just standing behind Shlengi, I see she talks with beads in her appearance, material culture. So she is someone you can grab after and speak to if you need to know anything. Reggie Zaba, I'm going clockwise. Reggie Zaba is the designer behind the brand Ifile, who has reimagined the Zulu Imbadada tire sandal, producing a contemporary virgin, Reggie, a contemporary version of the older aesthetic. Reggie, can I say a few words?
Sanbonani, igama lami Reggie Zaba. I work for IFEL. I produce IFEL with a collective of young designers. We have a studio in Durban. We've been working in Durban for the last 5 years. I'm a designer by training, so you would call me more a designer than an artist, but I'm glad to be here and I hope you enjoy the exhibition. And congratulations, Jenny, for this work. Thank you.
So we're moving to that wall, and I want to introduce Menenhle Nkele, sorry about that, who uses objects to invoke ideas of memory, home, and the environment he grew up in. Menenhle?
Sanibona. Umsebenzi wami njengoba seshilo ukuthi ukhuluma ngekhaya lapho engisuka khona nekhaya lami esengikulona njengamanje okwesikhashana iTheku. So ngikhuluma ngobumina basekhaya nobala kule ndawo ngoba kufanana. And ngisebenzisa ama-symbols anjenganezigqoko namanye ama-materials engiwathola khona ekhaya njenganebumvu kwezinye zezithombe ukuthi ngi-translate whatever I want to say about the space that I'm in at that moment in time. Thank you.
Sakile and Hlongo. Sakile's works from the middle panel. Sakile works, he presents attention in his series of portraits which he places against the English country garden fabric. Take the mask.
Yes, my name is Sakile Mhlongo. I'm an artist from Durbin. I'm a portrait artist. I do portraits on found pattern fabric. Through my work, I'm trying to subvert the public stereotyping of African males and females within my culture. And the use of that pattern fabric is very important as it carries a history and alludes to a feminine and domestic setting.
Thank you, Sekile. Sekile is a very humble artist, and I just also want to tell you that there is an enormous picture of Antonia Langer as you go down Antonia Langer Road, and I'm sure you've all seen it. And it's truly magnificent. His work it also speaks a lot about decolonization, because that's what I see in those works, Sekile. Then following that, we have Mandisa Buthelezi, who began her journey as a self-taught photographer, documenting the social and cultural landscape that exists within the rural and peri-urban areas of the province.
Sanibonani, igama uMandisa Buthelezi. I'm a photographer, visual artist, based in Durbin and Johannesburg. And ngithanda ukuthatha ithuba ngibonge kakhulu for coming to see umsebenzi wami. My work is primarily focused on culture, particularly identity, spirituality, and the movement that happens in between these different concepts. So, siyabonga kakhulu to Articulate Africa team. We thank you to the Department of Parks and Recreation. Thank you very much, Jenny, for the beautiful work you did with the work, and we hope you're going to enjoy the rest of the afternoon. I think it's amazing how everything just integrated and how everyone's work is very different, but how when it comes together, it's almost like one body of work that speaks. So thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of the afternoon. Thanks.
Next to Mandisa Butelezi's works, we have a photographer, Tembi Tembu, whose photographic images create and tell stories of a new South African landscape. Tembi, come and say a few words.
I'm so glad you made it. That's fine.
Sanibona, igama lami nguThembi wakamthembu, ngi-artist yalana eThekwini. Okay, sanibona, igama lami nguThembi wakamthembu, ngi-artist yala eThekwini, and I'm also a photographer. I graduated from DUT, and umsebenzi wami focuses on politics that surrounds the body, and I try and capture African stories and from a perspective of umuntu obukelayo and observer. So basically that's what I do. Ngiyabonga.
Thank you.
And finally, we have a performance by Antonia Langer. Sorry, Antonia, I'm pronouncing that badly. Who describes herself as a conceptual artist storyteller, indigenous instrument maker, player, and community activist, and uses her music as her medium and muse. Do you want to say a few words, or do you just want to play? What would you prefer? Do both, yeah? Okay.
People always take it in Oscars.
Okay.
Lovely.
Gavin, answers and set up.
Hello everyone, my name is Antonia Langer, but also known as Tobegile. As Jenny has said, I'm a performer, but mostly my work is about preserving, promoting and developing indigenous instruments and decolonizing the African ear so that we can reconnect with the first vibration. But obviously because things are happening and things are changing, we are losing sound. So I'm just gonna go right ahead with the performance, or should I?
Okay. And do you want to... Sorry? Oh, okay. They want to have tenors first.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Can I also say that our head, Mr. Tembe Ngobo, wants to meet the artists. So please, can you meet the artists starting at Schlengi Duvet as soon, in about 5 minutes' time? Thank you.
Can we get the 3 tenors to come on stage while the artist is setting up, because all of them are complaining about time now. So we need to spend our time wisely. And can I? Okay, she says she's ready, but can you take 2 minutes, please? Because 3 tenors are also rushing somewhere. Can we please pay attention to this performance? 2 minutes, and afterwards we will get 3 tenors. Thank you. Can we try to be as attentive as possible? And then